All right, hello everybody. This is Renan Lopez, the executive chef of Spirit Elephant. Um, we are a plant-based restaurant. Spirit Elephant is a plant-based restaurant in the North Shore of the Chicagoland. Today's recipe went inside our first produce box. We just released our new produce box for you guys, and our recipe today is a bibimbap. Bibimbap is a Korean dish. In Korean, bibimbap means mixed bowl of rice or mixed rice in a bowl. Is a dish consisting of a warm rice topped with sauteed vegetables, chili paste, and traditionally it has animal protein. However, since we are plant-based and we believe that plant-based is the future of the food industry and will also ensure the future of our planet, today I'm going to show you what vegetable or plant-based protein can do. So let's go over the recipe really quickly. Our three main ingredients today are going to be mushrooms that went inside our produce box. So we have half a pound of mushroom on this recipe. We have half a pound of yellow squash and a quarter pound of our nifty little spinach that can do a lot. The rest of the recipe, we have the rice that is already cooked, so it's make it easier. And all the liquids and powders are to create a marinade for our protein. So let's start by preparing our mushroom. So the mushroom, you probably got baby bellas. We are going to tear them apart into a half-inch strips, so you can have something meaty, and it's going to give you a nice little texture when you're cooking this. These mushrooms have a lot of nutrients. They're very nutty and earthy. This is amazing in any substitution for animal protein. A lot of the plant-based community uses all different types of mushrooms to create that. It's actually really, really good. So we are gonna once we are done doing this, we're gonna put it aside, and we're gonna prepare our marinade. All right. So I have a quarter cup of soy sauce. Quarter cup of soy sauce. There you go. That's gonna provide your salt, and it's gonna break down your mushroom a little bit. After that, we're gonna put 3 tablespoons of sesame oil. The sesame oil is gonna provide a nice nuttiness to this a nice nutty flavor to this dish. After that, we're gonna go for 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. Brown sugar is gonna add a nice sweet flavor, and it's gonna ensure that you have a nice caramelization when you're cooking it. After that, I'm going to put the garlic and ginger. I put garlic and ginger powder together already. So it's half a tablespoon of garlic and 1 teaspoon of ginger. So I already put it together, already mixed it. We're going to put it in. Then I'm going to give a quick whisk. You want to incorporate everything. You want everything to be completely combined. Just making sure that your marinade is homogeneous as possible so you can have the flavors meld all together. All right. So we are going to get our mushroom, and we're going to put the marinade over it. You want the marinade to cover almost everything. If possible, everything. Give it a little push down so it gets everywhere. And for our mushroom, this is it. We're going to set it aside, or we're going to let it marinate. In the meantime, we're going to clean our board, making sure that everything is organized, everything is clean. We don't want any cross-contamination. We here are using gloves, masks, making sure that everything that we do and come out to you guys is as clean as possible. And let's move to our squash. So yellow squash is called a summer squash. It's in the same family of our zucchini. It's going to provide a nice, squashy flavor. It's gonna allude uh, to early spring. It's gonna be really good. What we're gonna do is we're gonna cut the tips. We're gonna get a peeler. Never peel towards you. You're gonna peel away from you, and we're gonna create little ribbons. Your peeler does more than just take the skin off of things. So we're gonna create little ribbons. We're gonna have nice little tagliatelle type ribbon. So we have a nice composed dish. When you cook this, you don't want to go too long. You want this to keep the same raw bite to it. You want to make sure that you have all the flavors and you're not killing everything. So I'm going to put this aside. I'm going to grab these ribbons and I'm going to set it aside. And now we are going to start the nice part. We're going to start cooking. First, we're going to clean our station, making sure that the next step is as easy as possible. We're going to set our stove to medium heat. Here is about 275 degrees. We're going to let this warm up. While we warm up, get ready everything you need for the next step. So we are going to cook our mushroom, our squash, our spinach, and you're going to make sure that everything has a nice caramelization, or how we call it in food industry, we call it Maillard reaction. The little caramelized crust that you have, the little browning that you have, is called a Maillard reaction. So I'm going to use sesame oil. I'm going to keep in a theme. There's sesame oil in our marinade, so I want to keep the same flavor. We're going to let this oil heat up and have a little smoke. As soon as you see a little bit of smoke, you are going to get about a tablespoon of garlic. You're going to set it on your pan, and you're going to let this get what we call GBD, golden brown and delicious. You're going to leave it there, and you're going to put your little spinach. And again, golden brown and delicious is as golden as you like. I prefer on the lighter side, so the flavors of garlic are still pretty pronounced. Once you got to the point where you want, you're gonna grab your quarter-pound of spinach. Don't worry, even if it seems crowded, it's gonna go down. Spinach has a lot of water. It's gonna wilt into actually very little spinach. It's gonna work almost as a garnish. So we're gonna let it cook for a second. And again, as it cooks, like my mom used to say, clean as you go. Don't let it overrun with grease, with dirty things. You want to make sure that your station is going to be as easy as possible for you to work. As we keep cooking this, you see that this is starting to wilt already, starting to lose a lot of volume. If you guys remember, it was all the way here. Now it's very low. Since I am French, I like wine. I'm going to have wine everywhere. I have wine in my kitchen, dining room, living room. I always have wine close to me. And so for cooking, it's not different. I like to deglaze with white wine. Deglazing is basically all that little bit, all those little bits that get stuck to the bottom of the pan, all that Maillard reaction, you don't want to lose that. You want that to still be present on your dish. So you're going to hit your pan with a little bit of liquid. And yes, it's going to cause a lot of vapor. It's fine. It's going to disappear in a second. But you want to grab all that. You don't want to let anything escape. So if you see, look at how much spinach we have left from all that quarter-pound spinach. Once your spinach is to your liking, which to me is slightly seared, but still some touches of raw. You're gonna set it aside. Now, first trick: don't change your pan, don't wash your pan unless you're working with something that has an allergen. Keep the pan. You wanna build on the last flavor. You want to make sure that things keep adding flavor. When you get to your last one, it's gonna be just delicious. We're gonna hit the pan now with our yellow squash. So I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Remember, we have soy sauce in our plate. It's gonna be pretty salty. You don't want this to get too salty. And if you have any questions, if you have anything that you didn't understand, keep posting on the chat here. I mean, at least I see it here. It might be somewhere around us. Keep posting, and I will get to them in a quick second. What we're gonna do to this, we're gonna let it give same Maillard reaction, same browning on the edges. You want things to be as cooked as possible without losing any integrity. All right. While this is happening, our mushroom is still marinating. Our mushroom is still soaking up all those flavors from our marinade, which, by the way, I wouldn't toss it after this. I'm going to show you what to do after we finish our dish. I'm going to show you what to do with the marinade. All right. Another second there. While that happens, I'm going to change my gloves. And I'm back. We want to make sure that there's no cross-contamination between items. Every time you touch something raw and you're going to touch it cooked afterwards, you want to make sure that there's no contamination. You don't know what was present on it before you cooked. And especially in our world today, for everything that is happening, you want to be extra careful with everything that you do. All right. As you can see, it's starting to get nice brown. I like it on the al dente side, so it's slightly translucent, but if I pull it up, it's slightly translucent. It's not all the way cooked, but it's not raw. So that's how I like to get my squash out of the pan. All right. And again, set it aside. Now, hit your pan with a little bit more oil. Again, I'm using sesame oil because now we are going to go for our main star. We're going to go for our mushrooms. Here's what I would do, okay? I would keep the mushrooms in the marinade. I would just strain it quickly. You don't need to get all the marinade. And I would hit the pan with it. The marinade is going to provide a little bit of caramelization if it's still on the pan. So I would not strain completely, not discard the marinade, just keep it for a second. Just strain by hand. All right. Again, not going to toss this marinade. All right. This is what's going to happen. This marinade has sugar. It's going to start caramelizing and almost burning in the bottom. Don't let it burn in the bottom. Move if you need. But the trick is the glazing. If it starts getting a crust on the bottom, you can hit the little liquid and take it off the bottom. And that, without knowing, you're building a little glaze for your mushrooms too. And you see how the mushrooms are starting to wilt, starting to get a nice brown color. They almost look like beef, but it's not beef. It's better. Frankly, better than beef. Again, quick wipe. Make sure that everything is nice and clean. While that is finishing, I'm gonna plate the rice. I chose a nice stoneware for today. I'm gonna plate our rice. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a rice ball. I'm gonna put it in the center of my dish. And with the back, I'm gonna squeeze a little bit to fill the bottom, but you still want that volume. You still want the rice to tower a little bit. You can see by the angle that the rice is not all the way to the bottom. It's a little bit higher. And I'm gonna set this here. Gonna make sure that this is cooked properly. I would say about 3 minutes. Again, different cultures and different people eat differently. Some people like it on the raw side. Some people like completely cooked. For me, about 3 minutes is a nice point. You got most of the moisture out. The texture is nice and chewy, which is a good thing for mushroom. Not a good thing for everything, but for mushrooms, it's pretty nice. And while this is finishing, we're gonna prepare for the plating. So I'm gonna get everything out of my station that doesn't pertain to the plating. Spoon. Give this a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, quick stir. And here you go. I'm gonna take this off the pan, turn off my heat. All right, I'm gonna keep this aside. We're gonna start the plate. So here's how I'm gonna go for the plate. We're gonna go about a spoon of our spinach, our garlic spinach. It should be pretty mushy, but still, when you take a bite, it's still gonna have a little bite. I'm gonna go about 1.5 to 2 spoons of our squash. And get nice. And remember, a bibimbap, if you ever had a bibimbap, is always divided by sections. So what I'm doing, you can see here, I'm getting 3 nice little sections. And now we're gonna move to our mushroom. And you can be as deliberate as you want with your mushroom. The same amount of beef is the same amount of mushroom. And here you go. This is what it's going to look like. Now, the trick that I said I was going to teach you guys. I would get this on high heat. Get our pan on a high heat. Grab that marinade and dump it on your pan. Because of the sugar, because of everything that you put here, you're going to reduce this until it becomes a glaze. The sugar is going to give a nice little sweet note, and it's going to thicken it up. And this is going to become a nice little glaze for you to put over your dishes or anything you want. Then, so now that we're at this point, does anyone have any questions about what we went over? And again, I'm going to go over what we did. First, we tore our mushrooms into about half-inch strips. We combined all the liquid ingredients with the sugar, garlic powder, and ginger powder. And we made a marinade poured over our mushroom. After that, we put aside. After that, we grabbed our squash. We used a peeler to make nice little ribbons and set aside. And then we started cooking. We heat up over medium heat with a little bit of sesame oil, about half to a tablespoon of sesame oil. Um, and we put a tablespoon of garlic, minced garlic, in the pan and let it get a nice golden color. Put our spinach in it and saute the spinach in the garlic. Let it wilt a little bit. Hit with a little bit of our trusty wine and let it wilt all the way to basically 20% of its original volume. After that, we took it aside. In the same pan, we didn't add any oil and went straight for our squashes. Little salt, little pepper. Let the squash get a nice little crust on the outside, on the edges, nice little brown crust on the edges. While that was happening, our mushroom was still marinating. After we remove our squashes from the pan, we hit our pan with some mushrooms and we let it cook down until our desired texture. I like it about 3 minutes, a little bit on the dry side. And after our mushrooms were ready, we plated everything over rice, and now we are reducing our marinade to a nice, beautiful glaze that we can now drizzle over our plate. And all you're missing on this are chopsticks, and you can enjoy it. If you have any questions, please hit us on the chat next to the video, or you can always just send us a quick message on Facebook. We'll definitely answer. Thank you so much.